Welcome everybody to another episode of Speak Safety. I am Andy.
I'm Ashley. And I'm Aurora.
And here's Aurora, our special guest today from a cone zone.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us.
Yes.
And here you are, head of HR.
Yes. Oh my God.
Trying to maintain the peace.
Yes.
Yeah.
How did you used to maintain the peace, Miss Ashley, before an official HR individual was in play with the cone zone?
It takes a lot of trial and error. So, you just kind of like try different things. For me, it was always about listening, and it still is, listen more than you speak. You have 2 ears, 1 mouth. So I always try and hear what, those the employees or the team members, are saying, and try and see where it's coming from and try to help them through it. You always want to make sure that you're being heard, right? Like everyone wants to be heard. So when someone had a complaint or something, it's like, okay, hear it, help them, and follow up. It's always like making sure, that follow through of, if they're sharing something with you, you don't want it to fall on deaf ears. So it's like you want to help them and take action and, make sure that whatever that problem is gets solved.
For sure. I really noticed that when I do that follow-up, especially with just anyone in general, like not just from the cone zone family, could totally be from my personal life too.
Sure.
Like I could see like a change in attitude with the person when they come up to me, with another problem or with like something that they just want to get off their chest. And so like write down notes as you're talking, and then 2 ears, 1 mouth. That for some reason speaks out to me too. Like I haven't heard that before. So
it was something more recently that I heard, and it definitely like resonated with me.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, you don't really, it's one of those like obvious things that's right there in your face, and you don't really realize until you hear it.
Mm-hmm.
And so it definitely stuck with me.
Sticking with me too. Here's one. I'm gonna write that down. You're like,
right?
And we'll stop on it.
But I think also like what you're saying too is that person comes back to you, right? They come back and share more because you're building that trust, that comfort level for them to believe in you, believe that you care, right?
Right.
That's something I feel like for you in the position you're in, you're not a typical HR person. I feel like when people hear HR, they instantly get scared and it's like cold.
Right.
Like,
There's a stigma about it, a little bit.
Yeah.
Just a tiny bit.
Definitely.
There's a story that I actually like to tell people. When I first started out as HR, granted this was still like in my first year at a cone zone. I hadn't even completed like 6 months. So I would go out into the yard, right? And I would have a question for the guy, or I would want to follow up with something that they brought to my attention. It wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing,
Sure.
It'd sometimes be a really good thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd be like, hey guys, there'd be a crowd of technicians over there. And then they'd quiet down and start looking at each other. Like, ooh, HR, uh-oh, someone's in trouble. And I'd be thinking, no one's in trouble, but I want to laugh out loud so hard.
Turn into a little kid, right? Oh, who's gonna get in trouble? Who's here for?
He did it, I didn't do it.
Right.
You're avoiding.
Exactly. I'm like,
Why
like crazy.
Why do you think that is though? Because I know even when I was first starting to like work, you hear HR, but then it's always been that one. Even in the beginning, right? Like when you start working, you hear HR, and you're like, oh, it's almost like standoffish. I don't want to go there. Like even.
I feel like HR kind of gets a bad rap sometimes,
Oh, I think it gets it all the time.
And it's probably has to do with like some of the negative, because if you think about it, the more negative things in life kind of stick with you a lot longer and a lot more clear than the positive things.
Definitely.
Like for example, HR deals with terminations, write-ups, they deal with injuries on site,
Right.
And so those big occurrences really like stick to you and to the personnel that are nearby that it affects them. But people I would hope that people also remember the good things that HR does. For example, it helps with promotions, new
I was
hires,
just gonna say
my
that.
favorite thing,
Nobody-
benefits.
Yes.
So,
Nobody takes that in mind. Like, you just got a raise. They help you. They're there for you.
You know,
They're there to take care of you. If
at
you do
least
get
show
an
the
accident.
paperwork, or pass the word of mouth along. Like, oh, you haven't had your 90-day review yet. Okay, let me go follow up with your manager, see if it's something that we need to take care of a little bit sooner, and then also be the support team for management too. Because at the end of the day, management is the one who either takes the call or makes the call, and that can sometimes be stressful for them too. So HR kind of also has to act kind of like this, kind of like a rebound, or not a rebound, like soundboard.
Okay.
Sometimes I feel anyway. I hope that my acting soundboard, as a soundboard, helps the managers here at Home Zone. I don't know if it really does, but
I think
I'm
it's
sure it
a
does.
huge resource for the managers. I know for me personally, obviously, like I'll come to you a lot as a soundboard, so I'm always I'm so always appreciative of that. And I think a lot does get dumped on you in a sense of like, because you're this like safe zone, right? Like you're there to help us feel better and work through things. And like, what do you do to kind of like, because it's a lot of information, like, so how do you personally handle that? Like, how do you decompress from all that?
how do I decompress? Sometimes it does get a little tough, I'm not gonna lie, especially when you have one thing after another. Maybe it's not such a good thing, maybe you've got an employee that got into an accident, or 3 or 4 employees called out because of whatever injury they had off time, and now you got managers that are short on people, you gotta deal with paperwork out the wazoo that you weren't expecting for the week, and you gotta get payroll done, right? So what helps me is taking notes, making lists, breathing, really chewing my food at lunch. Really chewing it. And just taking it one bite at a time. There was a professor in my accounting class actually that he was actually my first accounting professor, and he's like, how do you eat an elephant? And this was like the 100 level courses, right? Beginners, you don't have to have a clue what accounting is. And the class would be silent. He'd say, one bite at a time. So that's kind of like my motto. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. How do you deal with the little things that happen throughout the day? One bite at a time. How do you deal with the amount of information that I'm taking in? Just one bite at a time. And it's kind of like also doing the steps that you mentioned earlier, Miss Ashley. Listen in what you can, help out in what you can, and follow up with what you can. And then that way, you're slowly eating that elephant.
Right.
Definitely. I think that's a really good saying. And, I think a lot of the times it can be so overwhelming. And if you really sit back for a second, take that deep breath, like you said, and really look at it that way so you don't stay in that overwhelmed feeling. Because I feel like it's pretty natural that everyone at some point is going to get overwhelmed. And so it's following those steps, I think.
Definitely. And what sucks is that sometimes at work can get a little overwhelming, and it can even leak into your personal life, or vice versa. You could be doing really well at work, and your stress from home life kind of leaks over, and it's kind of like, well, how do you handle that too?
Right.
And so that's why I try to make it. I try to make the Cone Zone environment, or at least the HR environment, as comfortable as I can for everyone else, to have that safe zone, to have a moment to come in and just if they need to cry, cry.
Right.
If they need to talk about something, talk about something. If they feel like, they're really angry or upset at someone, or something didn't come out quite as the way that they were looking at, and the best I could do is give them an ear and tell them what I know, and direct them to a better person that could help them out in that situation.
How often does that happen? How often do you get people coming here willingly to just open up to you? Because you're a pretty easy person to get along with, but having that title above you, that it's almost, so to speak, unapproachable.
I feel like I have a lot of luck with the new guys. 'Cause they're new.
See, now we're just bragging. Now we're not even touching on HR stuff anymore. We're talking work here, lady. You know?
Honestly though, like I feel, for example, I had today maybe 2 guys that came into my office, but one guy came in like 3 or 4 times,
Mm-hmm.
and it was for different reasons too. But I felt really happy that this guy was coming into my office to talk about these little things that to him was like, oh, sorry for these little bugs or these little, questions, and sorry to keep interrupting you. Like,
Right.
it's never an interruption.
Right.
When you come into my door, I might be busy doing something over here, trying to submit something,
Mhm.
but if you come into my office, I'm gonna put my stuff away, or at least finish my thought.
Right.
Sure.
You
Finish
gotta
my
get that thought out, or
Yes.
else you're gonna hate it afterwards.
And I'm gonna follow up with them, I'm gonna tell them, come in, sit down, especially for our technicians. They're out there all day long or all night long. They come back, they're exhausted.
Yes.
Right.
I bet they're covered, in I don't know what type of asphalt.
Right.
If it's hella hot outside, they've been dealing with the sun, they've been dealing with the heat.
Yeah.
If it's hella cold out there, then they probably have their runny nose that are frozen to
Right,
like
right.
little nosticles or whatever. And so, you want to make time for everyone.
Right.
And so I feel like I really have a lot of good luck with the newer hires, because I get to have that initial bond with them
Right.
during orientation. And then that's when I can also give them heads up on like safety, what are our procedures, our evacuations and re-entries, to them I always tell them, if you see something, say something.
Yes.
If you see there's glass out in the parking area, if you see that there's a wire hanging off, if you see that there's something sticking out in the warehouse, if you see that there's a trip hazard, say something. If you
Yes.
feel like you can handle it at the moment, go for it. If you feel like it's something that's out of your expertise, let one of the managers know.
For sure.
Because we want this to be a safe working environment. And that goes the same for any type of harassment.
Right.
If one feels like they're not comfortable
Mhm.
in their work zone, it's okay to talk about it. All of our managers, I'm really proud about this, all of our managers have an open door policy. Or if they say they don't, I say they do, because I feel like I walk up anyone's and just start talking, It's a really nice environment here.
So do you think it's how do you think it's received with the technicians or with anybody that comes in? Can you tell when it's just like, okay, well, it's maybe one ear, not the other, or is it really like sticking to them, or you're getting your actual point across to them? And that's only because of there's still fear that they're talking to somebody that technically has their job dangling over them.
No,
So to speak.
For those that are in more senior positions, for those that have more seniority than I do, they probably know who to go to with their personal grievances or for their personal safety issues, and I get that. Kind of lost track. I was going somewhere. Don't blame me, guys.
It's totally fine. So would you say it's more based on character on the person and who they are?
It kind of is character, kind of seniority. I'm really happy that we have one of our employees that he doesn't necessarily complain a lot, but he has a lot of concerns.
Okay.
And I love the fact that he comes in and questions. I love it.
Right.
Because honestly, that's something that I have trouble with. I have problems with asking questions, with going against
Right.
a figurehead or something
Right.
like that. And to be put in this position as the HR figurehead, that's why I try to give out the notice or the heads up that, hey, I really appreciate you coming into my office and talking to me about these things, because that way I get to learn something, you get to learn something,
Right.
or we fix something, or maybe we don't learn something, but we'll go on an adventure together to investigate that we learn something, you know? And so HR, there was the same professor that told me about, or that taught us about how to eat an elephant, you know, one bite at a time, was the same professor that really liked the acronym for HR to stand for human relations instead of like human resources. He was quite adamant on the idea that people are not just a resource. And that was hella critical, especially coming from an accounting professor. Because when you're coming from an accounting standpoint, it's analytical, it's a lot of math. You know, stereotypically, you don't think that accountants would take humans, you know, as flesh and blood, as people that have their own problems, that need to have changes in their schedules, need to have changes in their routines, you know. And so I try to do my best to follow the Econ Zone mission and values, while at the same time trying to establish and create that environment of we are all building a relationship here at Econ Zone instead of treating you as a resource, because we're all people.
Exactly.
We're all people.
That's awesome.
You know, and I think like how you mentioned you have great luck with the new hires, right? Like the new guys coming in. And I think it's really cool that you feel that way, because you're like setting this new precedent, right? Like you're trying to give a different outlook on how HR is. So it's like someone that's been here is going to be probably a little bit more like shy away from it, right? Because they have the standard HR idea in their head, where you're so far from that. And you build like this comfort level with everybody, and I think it's awesome that you just keep going with it, right? It's like consistency, being consistent with making everyone feel that way, and I think you do a wonderful job of that.
Thank you. There's actually an issue with benefits that had arisen couple weeks ago that got me so elevated and so motivated. Two of our more senior employees came to me and were like, something's not right with my benefits here. You know, I tried calling our benefit administrator and they weren't getting us anywhere. I don't know what to do. And I feel for them, you know. I take a look at them and I think, what if I was in their position?
Sure.
What if my parents were in their position? Right. So I made some calls, and I let our administrator know, like, this is what my technicians or office employees are going through, and you know, I need this fixed. This is unacceptable. And so that same day, boom, boom, they were making changes. They were reaching out to our employees, and a couple hours later, those same employees come back and they're like, I don't know what you did, but you did it. Thank you so much.
That's awesome.
And I was happy as a clown that day. Like, I got fist bumps from everyone. And I was like, it's short of like actually hugging them and tossing them up in the air, because I was so happy, right? Helping them out. Yeah.
You should have. That would be. You really toss them up there. All right, everybody, woo, let's go.
I tell you, that's like the kind of stuff that makes it all worth it. Yes. It's like you're in that stressful moment and it's like, oh my gosh, this seems so overwhelming. Right. Oh, there's all this happening. But then when that like outcome happens and it's positive, it's like, yay, it's so exciting.
Right. Yes. Honestly, those happy moments make it such worthwhile.
Right?
Such worthwhile.
I agree. Makes it worth through all the stress and, you know, frustration, tears, like,
all theirs. And I'm sure Miss Ashley can, you know, attest to this too, while she wears her, you know, HR hat upon multiple other hats. There have been moments where I feel stress and I can feel like the tire kind of going.
Right.
You
gotta tell me about that. I live in stress. Tell me about that.
Man, it's tough when you carry that stress home.
You telling me, yeah. You You get kind of heavy.
Oh man, yeah.
But you didn't, from what you told me before, you really, that being in the field of HR was not your first go-to. It's not the thing that you were seeking out, right?
You know what? It wasn't. It really wasn't. I tried to take an outlook in life to, if there's a door that opens for you, go for it. You give it your 110% and keep calm. You're going to do great things, type of thing. So I went to school for accounting,
Okay.
and that took me about 5 years. And then
What school did you do?
I went to Crafton Hills College in Ukaipa. And after that, I became a Titan at Cal State Fullerton.
Okay.
So that was a lot of fun. Took me 2 years, I think. 2 years. And I finished my degree in business administration with a concentration in accounting. I did take some HR and management courses. So a lot of what I read and what I research in HR is much more in depth than what I studied, but it's not necessarily like new to me. It's
Okay.
knowing all the different types of personalities. It's knowing the different types of legislations. It's knowing, those basics, And so after that, 6 months after I graduated, I applied to a cone zone. And it gave me a shot. I was really happy. Like, this is my first job, It's like, I kind of went from Ukaipa to Corona,
Right.
the entire drive, dressing up, looking good, because you're the face of a cone zone. You're
Right.
representing
Yes.
something.
Right.
So you got to be at your best.
Yeah, you got to be on point.
Exactly.
Right.
So I was there in the receptionist / billing clerk position for, like I said, about 6 months.
Right.
And opportunity was presented to try out HR, and I said, sure. All right. Thank you for the opportunity.
Was it
Let's do
was
Yeah.
it a terrifying?
It was a little scary. I'm not gonna lie to you, because HR had much more room for development,
Okay.
and so I'm trying to develop HR to its potential.
Okay.
So that's my goal for the moment, is to really build on HR, the what HR can do, like the services that it can provide.
Right.
And so once in a while, I try to get back feedback from everyone in regards to just what they would like to see.
Sure.
And then I had this. I feel so sorry.
Sorry, they had a squirrel or a chipmunk running around. The others are crazy, bro. You got a little mouse shot, We'll get it. We'll get it though. Normally people would freak out, but Aurora, she loves that mouse.
You're screaming across the room.
Live. Did you guys Instagram live right now?
Oh, really?
That's awesome. The whole last segment was live. I'm probably gonna go again, so just keep going. You guys
Yeah.
are doing
All right.
great. You guys are doing great.
No worries. Where was I? I totally.
You're saying the HR goal.
The
HR goal,
Making
right.
it
Yes,
what
yes.
it can be.
Definitely. So my goal for right now is to really expand and get feedback from our employees. There was one piece of feedback in regards to benefits that that really stood out to me, because I remember when I was doing some termination paperwork for an individual. I asked them, hey, could you do,
Separation.
interview
thing.
Yeah, separation interview. Those are super helpful, honestly, when done right. And
What is a separation
interview?
What is
Sure. It's basically you ask the individual, hey, it sucks that we're seeing you go. Wish you well in your best endeavors, but we were hoping if you could give us some feedback on how we can improve ourselves. Can you give us a little bit of critique on different
That's always fun.
areas.
I'm sure you get some doozies.
It can be, but it's all in how you take it.
Right, of course.
If you take it in
Of
a
course.
constructive way, if you take it slow and easy, if you let the words really digest, read their body language, see how
Passionate they are.
passionate they are,
Sure.
then things can be really, really insightful. This particular individual also said something about benefits that he wasn't completely clear.
Okay.
Now, from an HR management standpoint, you think, I onboard people, I tell them what their benefits are up front, first point, done, we don't need to talk about it for the rest of the time here, right? Well, my view has drastically changed. It's not just, right? It's all about adjustments.
I'm sure it's not just that topic either. I'm sure there's a few other ones that you thought, we're done with that, but then they all kind of sneak back in.
Exactly, and so very, very recently, kind of going back to what I was mentioning, there was an employee that mentioned something about benefits, and I'm like, you know what? We need some type of pamphlet or some booklet, and the employee herself also mentioned, these examples,
Okay.
some type of like
Literature.
one-pager literature, something I could just grab, read, go, and easy to understand. So I'm like, all right, I got you. So we've got that in the works right now.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And it kind of goes in the same way with like other aspects of HR. For example, safety. It's like, for example, in the summer, it's hella hot, right? You get those heat strokes, those heat waves.
Yes.
I'm sending out memos like crazy. I send text messages out like crazy. Shout out to Roshana at Billing because she helps me actually send out those text messages.
Right, okay.
Like she is boss at that. So memos, we also send out a lot of memos. Whenever I go outside into the warehouse, hey guys, how are you doing? You look a little red. How's it going? You probably need to take a seat. Do you want to go into my office? It's air conditioned there.
Sure.
Sometimes the guys will be like, no, I'm fine. And I'd be like, well, you don't look fine.
Right.
Sometimes you need
Right.
that someone to tell you it's okay to slow
Yes.
down.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
It's okay. And so definitely during the summertime, I'm really trying to stay alert and follow those procedures, making sure that not just our field, but also the inside is doing well too. Because as people that stay in an air conditioned, nice and cool temperature room, and then all of a sudden you have to step outside for something, the heat wave. Yeah. And so that can lead to a lot of internal stressors too. Your body can sometimes go haywire, could go into shock. So you gotta be careful about that type of stuff. And right now it's really windy, right?
Right.
So we have to send out text messages that say, okay, there has been a wind advisory. Make sure you got your sandbags out there. Wear your goggles. Wear your masks. If you don't have any available, talk to your manager.
Yes. Taking those precautions.
Exactly. So HR is also about making sure that those precautions are out there and told to everyone, and be available as a resource in case if anyone comes in and asks, hey, I don't have a mask. Hey, I need a new safety vest.
Right.
Hey, I need a reflective shirt. Then I'll say, okay, well, I can get you this, and go to this person for that information, and we can get you that, and that in a couple days.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's very cool. That you keep your door open like that for them, especially with, like I said, the stigma that HR would have to keep your doors open to them like that, and even just to follow up with them. I don't think I've ever had another job that would. I don't think I've ever had a phone call or somebody would tell me from HR to come and do that. But it's great, and I commend you for trying to take that stigma off of it, because you do, and you do a great job at it. How does it affect your own life, your personal life with all this? Because I know it must be very stressful too for yourself. Like, because it's a lot of information that you have to take in, and it's almost like taking care of people at the same time, So how do you keep your balance to that?
It can be a little stressful, I'm not gonna lie. Very recently, something you don't know about me is that I tend to keep real quiet about my own problems.
Right.
Just because I don't think about them. Because just you're worried about someone else, all the time. And you want to do the best for them. You want to make sure that they're comfortable.
Right.
Obviously, you're not going to be able to please anyone.
Right.
But you kind of start to lose yourself in trying to care for others.
Sure.
And so it's important to remind yourself,
You
I'm
gotta care
a
for yourself
human,
too.
I gotta care for myself too. And so shopping is my number one. And number two is probably eating pastries. I really can't do candies. My boyfriend can do candies. I can't. Like, I think to myself, oh my god, that is so much sugar. But how much sugar does pastry have as well?
That's
Plus,
so funny.
Right.
So shopping and pastries.
shopping and pastries. Yes, God, I love shoes. It's very hard for me to get rid of a pair of shoes. Oh my gosh, I love boots. I'm so happy it's boot season.
Yes.
I love sweater weather, but I do not like cold, if that makes any sense.
Yes.
It probably doesn't. But
Well, sweaters and boots are so cute and cozy.
yes. I love the heat, but I don't know how to dress for it sometimes, honestly, because I just want to put on my boots. And I know that I'll stroke like that, so.
Well, you're always so stylish, I swear. Your outfits are so cute, and so now I know you shop a lot.
I do.
Not gonna be shopping buddies. Let's go de-stress ourselves.
Yeah,
Let's go
exactly.
get those boots that we're talking about.
My favorite places have to be Goodwill. I recently found out that there's Goodwill boutiques spread all over California, and I'm super excited about that because it's like the more higher end, like reusable clothing and stuff like that. So you'll find brand stuff at
Nice.
these Goodwill boutiques. And I'm like, what? I got like 2 Angel jerseys from Goodwill boutiques. Like, go Angels! So,
I'll have to
what
adopt
it's-
your shopping
Oh my God.
habits.
And then at the end of the week, I'm like, I can't wait for my next paycheck. I spent too much.
Oh, that's funny.
That's how I distress. Pastry eating and shopping.
Nice. Good to know.
Yeah.
I'm gonna save that one.
I'm gonna try to do that too. I'm just not gonna go look for boots. Look for some kicks or something.
Yeah.
Let's just call them kicks.
Let's see. Kind of brought up so many great points, and like one thing I just want to like reemphasize how well you've been doing with building the department, because like how you said you want to continue the development, and when you went into there, like I mean HR was like nothing. Like it was this stack of paperwork and these goals that we thought we wanted to do, and you have transformed it so much, and I think it's a huge accomplishment from what you've done, and you have that drive and the determination. You care, and that's why it has gone so well, is because you care. And I just love that you just are the way that you are, because it's so different in that position, and it all comes to being part of the team and a team player, and your peppiness and positivity is, I love it, and it definitely wears off on me to where like now everyone's sick of me trying to spread the positivity.
Oh my gosh, like just today you come into my office and I'm like, something's different about Miss Ashley. She's like super happy today. I'm like, no.
Just feeding off each other. That's great. That's all we need to Aurora.
It's like, positive, and I just think going back to also you have to take care of yourself first, because for you to be able to be the best you for everyone else, you have to make sure you're taking care of those concerns and your stress, and making sure Aurora's number one.
Of course, and I thank you, Ashley, for all those beautiful words.
It's very true.
I do my best to give everyone that smile at the beginning and end of the day, because we all work hard. We all deserve it. We all deserve a safe environment. We all deserve a respectful attitude in the work environment.
Yes.
And definitely, if individuals don't get that either over the phone or in person or when you're out in the field, try to make sure that HR will give you that smile or that high five or that fist bump at the end of the day.
As they should.
You definitely do.
Just
Just
great.
don't lose yourself.
Oh,
That's the
yeah.
only thing I say. Don't, you're allowed to have those breakdowns and stuff too.
Oh, yeah. Definitely, and asking for help really helps a lot too, and I'm very happy. I've had only a handful of breakdowns so far. And a handful, and I'm gonna stick to them. I'm really happy. I'm really happy.
That's
with my
awesome.
position.
Very, very cool.
Yes.
Cool. Awesome. Well, Aurora, I just want to thank you very much for joining us today.
Yes.
Thank you
on
for
this
having me.
And you're more than welcome to come back at any time
Yeah.
and speak on any other subject or any other topic that you'd like to share. Is there any last thing that you want to share with the audience today?
Just keep on trucking. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time.
One bite at a
One
time.
bite at a time. That's how it goes.
One bite at a time. All right.
Shall I?
No, hold on. I'm trying to get into.
Rechannel it.
Yeah, I'm trying to rechannel our
It
ending.
takes
How
you
we.
this long? Like,
Let's get to it.
Let's get to it. Podcast is money. Get time already. Jesus Christ. Well, thank you for joining us, Miss Aurora. This was a blast. Thank you for taking over the show.
I'm
It was so
glad.
great.
This is what I'm here for.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, make sure your HR's never coming. No, I'm just joking. You're more than welcome at any time. Please come back, and we'll see you soon.
See you soon, guys. Bye. Bye. Bye.